Yeah.
So I'm going to start. Good evening, everyone. I'm Carla Scipio, and today we are gathering for a conversation rooted in truth, courage, and liberation in honor of World HIV Day. We're lifting up a story a, that shows what grace looks like in real life, not just in sermons, but in our relationships, our choices, and our willingness to confront stigma. Tonight, I have the honor of speaking with a newly married couple whose journey reflects faith in action, a pastor and his wife who's living with HIV. They are here to share how truth, honesty, and commitment have guided their relationship in a world that often misunderstands HIV, especially within the Black community and the church. Their story is bigger than the diagnosis. It's about embracing each other, standing together, and challenging stigma. It's also about education, including the importance of HIV prevention, PrEP, and protecting Black women's health. We are creating a space for honesty, healing, and hope. Let's welcome them. Um, can you briefly introduce yourselves and share why you chose to participate in this conversation this evening?
My name is Curtis Brandon Nugent Sr. Different titles: pastor, husband, father, grandfather, advocate. The list goes on, so I'm going to stop there. You brought up why are we here? Because you invited us, and I say that because the spirit recognizes the spirit. So it's
Amen.
an honor and our duty to be called upon and answer the call with a yes. So that's a long story short.
Thank you. Miss Nugent?
My name is Shatrivia U. Nugent. I am a mother. I just became a wife. I just became a first lady too. So it's like a wife and a first lady are two different things. So I got two things in one. I'm a publisher, I'm a author, I'm an HIV advocate, I am an abuse advocate, I am a writing coach, life coach. I'm a lot of things. However, in this season of my life, what I want to stand out the most is I am a child of God and I am walking in my purpose.
Yes.
I do.
So,
I
okay. So before we start, what intention do you hope to set for viewers watching this World AIDS Day interview? What do you want the takeaway to be for those who are going to watch this interview?
I'll let you go first.
um, First thing is Real AIDS is my special day of them all, out of all of the awareness days. I went public with my HIV status on a day, which will be today when it air. So that's one thing I'm excited about that. Um, but what I would want from someone to take from this is love knows no status, for one.
Okay.
And we know that God is love, right? So I want people to be able to see love through what we share today.
Thank
Far
you.
as myself, educate so people will not be ignorant towards the knowledge that's out here. Also, I want people to stop being ignorant. There's a difference. Ignorant. Almost my goal. People don't care what I want at the end of the day. But for majority, if God prick you to stop being ignorant, people's lives and feelings is on the line. It takes a lot to do these type of things. It takes a comfort level like no other, and a lot of people is doing it scared. So I pray
Mm.
that people stop being ignorant and allow people to express their truth, express their story. You ain't got to say nothing, comment. You ain't got to do nothing, but don't be ignorant in the process because that can set somebody back. Not her nor me, but somebody.
Yes. I agree. So let's start with how did the two of you meet, and when did you know your relationship was something deeper? Ladies first.
I want to go first. Okay. So I already knew him.
Mm-hmm.
I had already knew him. I knew him how many years? Maybe
Uh,
5 or 6 years.
before we got together,
Yeah.
let's go with a year. We
A
met each
year?
other. Let's go with a year. We met each other around
Really?
2015.
Okay. So I knew of him for a lot of years.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know him. Maybe I had been knowing him maybe like a year, right? His wife, she had passed away, and me and her were friends.
Okay.
And when she passed away, I started helping him with the ministry because I knew a lot about the ministry. I wasn't a part of that ministry, but with me and her sharing spiritual, we were spiritually connected, strongly spiritually connected. I knew a lot about the church, so I started helping him with that. And in the on the way of me helping him with that, I started realizing that we had a lot of things in common, and I started thinking about me conversations me and her had. Like, you and Curtis, y'all like the same thing. You and Curtis soulmates. When she used to say this stuff, I was like, oh, she just missed her husband because he wasn't around at the time. But when we started talking on the phone a lot, I started seeing what she was saying. And it started making me confused. Like, dang, she saw me and him was compatible. I think
Mm-hmm.
I like him. So that's how it started for me.
As far as,
Okay.
as far as
Pastor.
same flavor, same story, but just my perspective of the story. Go back to 2015, which is amazing, 10 years now. How we say, love, no statics. Um, eyesight can be blind too because we didn't see each other like that. You know, she was my deceased white friend, and I just remember seeing her for the first time. Her and her former husband, they dropped off some clothing. It was we were doing whatever giveaway, and I had a chance to meet them. And my deceased wife talked so highly of her. So that's my first introduction. Second introduction, she said I wasn't around for a little while in my marriage. When me and my deceased wife reconciled, she called me like, "Hey, don't hurt my friend." I'm like, "Who's you?" But I respected it. Same time, like, who's you calling me like this out the blue? But I really, really respected her character, the woman that she was. It showed a lot just in that conversation, the type of person she is. And to fast forward, like she said, my deceased wife transitioned to the other side of life, and we just end up becoming accountability partners, becoming closer. Even it's more to the story because we helped her in ministry, a bunch of different things. But long story short, it just something happened organically. We say the word unpredictable love for a reason because couldn't nobody predict this, especially her and I. And we're here, and I believe we're very grateful to be here.
You believe.
I'm speaking for myself. Well, I just wanted your 2 cents.
You believe.
I wanted your
You
2
still
cents.
trying to figure it out, huh? You believe.
I just wanted your 2 cents.
Okay.
Hey, well, look at God, huh? Look at God. So, at what point did HIV become part of your conversation, and how did you navigate that moment?
I guess I'll go first again. With us always talking because we was friends. We was friends for 2 years, so we had been friends for a long time. Like after she transitioned, we was friends. So I already was doing things HIV related anyway. And he was supporting everything I was doing, just like I was supporting him in the church. But when we started liking each other, he started asking me things like, "What do you equals you mean?" And I explained it to him. Do you remember that?
Absolutely.
I explained it to him. And then he said, well, I had research and I had learned that this. And that's how the conversation started with him just asking a question and me educating him. And then we just talked about it. Like just that's just how it went. And I think it was easier for us because I was already publicly positive already. So it was more like him asking a question so that I can educate him because he was trying to educate himself anyway.
Yeah.
And you answered my next question. You really answered my question. What about you, Pastor?
Well, she just a little correction. She said public already. Actually, she was private when I first got introduced to her. She was private, just her family, friend, whoever knew. And then I had a chance to get to know her, in a private setting of being HIV. So this is something I already knew, but stuff like that I don't care about. It's like this is what you're going on. How can I be of service? How can I be of help?
Right,
So
right.
like she said, as we began to get closer, I started being more intentional, I guess, and purposeful of really getting to know the real the meat of HIV because I'm ready to be educated now.
Mhm. Yeah, because it's got your attention now because there's a purpose. Hey, this is
Right.
a potential, there's a possibility. So let me pay attention to what you say about that. Yeah.
That part,
Right. Right.
that part right there.
Gotcha. Um, so how was stigma, especially in the, especially within the Black community and the church, impacted your journey? And then I think it's different for both you because we have someone that's HIV positive, and then we have someone that's not.
Yes. As far as what was that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so with me being HIV positive, him being HIV negative, that's called we're called a zero discordant relationship. One positive, one negative, right? So I've been positive for 21 years. And I probably before now probably was stigmatized maybe twice of those years, aside from me stigmatizing myself. So
Mm,
since me and Curtis have been married, the stigma surrounding our love has been so bad, like so bad. For the last say we've been married like 90 days or 107 maybe. Maybe 107 days we're married, and it is bad. And it's like mind blowing to I was just telling him earlier, like, I've been positive on my own for a lot of years. Nobody had nothing bad to say about me as a woman living with HIV. But now a woman living with HIV has found love, has found a man that loves her, and you have something bad to say. So it's like it has opened up a door. I feel like God has advanced me. He said, okay, Trivia, you're strong enough. Now you can handle this. It's bad. And I didn't even realize it was this bad. But I think people really need to be educated about what HIV mean when it comes to sex, because I think they think it's something different. I don't understand. I don't really know what's going on. Hope I asked the question right, because I just went all off to something else.
okay. So now I'm inquisitive. What are some of the things that they're saying or doing that demonstrates their ignorance as it relates to HIV, as it relates to marriage, as it relates to sex? What are some of the things that they're saying?
Um, so one lady was like, well, not let this period, people. Ain't no way. Ain't no way I'm finna deal with somebody that's HIV positive. He must got it and he ain't saying nothing. It ain't that much love in the world. Um, what else are you saying, Curtis?
It was one that was funny but not funny, but it stuck with me because it was funny, but it kind of really upset me. But what he say? I hope God never send me no love like that. He forgot it, that Joker. That's what made it kind of funny in a sense because I kind of felt his like seriousness about it. And each his own, right? But it just goes back to the ignorance. Like, why put God in this? You know what I mean? I don't put God in. And then too, and I know by being public, we leave ourselves for the ridicule and all these things that come with it. But you gotta still, people is people. Still, like you got these two human beings trying to figure out life, trying to figure
Mhm.
out growth and marriage and elevation. And don't be say your comments to yourself.
I made a post a few days ago and I said something like love didn't disqualify me. I mean, HIV didn't disqualify me from love. I said me and my husband prayed before we got married, and God is the foundation of our marriage, and that's my biggest flex. Somebody said, "How is that your biggest flex?" And he still just a whole. I was so confused, but so I asked the question. I asked, "What do you mean?" Because for me, if I said God is the center of my marriage and the foundation, and we pray before we get married, anybody that know God know that that is an ultimate flex. Period. From where we all come from, because we all hood, right? Some of us, anyway. We know that's flex at an all-time high, right? So for you, and as I thought about it, I started thinking like, it's no way in the world these people was going to understand, because the Bible said my people perish for lack of knowledge. And also is a scripture that say people that's not of the kingdom, they're not going to understand. They're not going to understand the word of God. They just not. So this is why it's so confusing to them how a man can love a woman that's HIV positive and he is HIV negative, because they have no clue of God's grace, God's mercy, nor God's love.
And so we're speaking on judgment. You've already been judged and condemned. And it kind of also speaks when you said, Curtis, well, Pastor Curtis, how the ignorance has a lot to do with it. And it also speaks as to relationship with God. So I want to ask you now, as now that we're dealing with the stigma and the ridicule and all of these ignorant um remarks and thoughts are being said, how do you address the stigma in your community, in your ministry? And also to piggyback on that after you're done, what do you wish faith leaders understood about HIV?
Well, when it comes to response, I'm trying to keep up with what you said. When it comes to the response, I think the best thing is leave them on red, as we say, because in my opinion, it's just going to fuel constant nonsense. A person going to be ignorant because they want to. They want to be start things because they want to. They ain't trying to learn. I know, like now, what we're doing it in a really sincere way. But some people are going to see this and poke at it. So, do I respond to every poke? No. One, I ain't got time for it. I got other things in my life that I'm accomplishing. You know what I mean? So, that's how I choose to address it. Just let it be, because I'm gonna outshine people with small minds regardless. When it comes to ministry, this is all ministry. Like I told you, I'm Curtis Brandon Nugent Sr. Then I start giving my titles. I walk in my title daily. When it's time for somebody to be ministered to, God has showed me, then I activate it. So I don't want nobody to put me in the box, because that's just not what it is. But I do understand ministry is 24/7, and I understand that this is a holistic ministry, that our goal is to embody the whole person, and these topics is important to talk about. Truth be told, we're recently starting to talk about this in ministry. I think this might be the first time, to be honest. We did a couple of things last year or early this year, but my goal is to implement it more and more into ministry, because I want to embody the whole man as a spiritual leader. And I think other spiritual leaders should do the same thing. But once again, this is taboo, because you got so many layers coming with STDs. You got to talk about sex. A lot of pastors want to talk about sex. A lot of pastors want to talk about a lot of different things, because these are hard, challenging questions for them. For me, I done been around this type of stuff all my life. I done been in a gutter. So now that God done raised me up to a certain degree, it's my duty to talk about what I seen, what I heard, what I know. I had a cousin who's like my brother. He dated somebody with HIV. He was negative. He went through this. I went through this about 20 years ago. You know what I mean? So I saw that through him. So it's funny how things come full circle.
Yeah. And I kind of feel like our life experiences prepare us for some of the things that we're called to do. So because of your experience with your cousin and what you're seeing now, it's like, hey, we gotta have these hard conversations. Now, Shatrivia, I know you do a lot of stuff as it relates to educating the masses on HIV. How do you feel? Let's talk about what are some of the myths and misconceptions about HIV that you encounter? Because you said it's been 20, how many years? 21 years since you've tested positive. So how do you want to correct all of those misconceptions and these myths that's just flowing through the world about what HIV is about, what it looks like, what you can do, what you can't do?
Well, first I want to answer the other question, and then I'll
Mhm.
answer that question. I don't remember. About the church. I think the church should talk about STDs more. I had an event when it was
Which one?
March March this year. It was Youth Awareness Day. I reached out to maybe 6 churches to see if we could get the youth to come. Nobody showed up. A lot of pastors, first ladies left me on red, and I was offended by it, like totally offended by it, because you can comment on a post and you can act like you just publicly you can act like you in support of what I do, but then privately when I direct message you, you leave me on red, and I feel like a lot of them should have responded, but they didn't, and I was like, dang, because these kids is having sex, whether we want to believe it or not.
Ma'am.
Whether
Yes,
if the church want to talk about it or not, it's happening. And usually what happens is these young girls like me, when I came in the church pregnant, first thing they said was, is he gonna marry you? He gonna keep giving you these kids? Nobody said nothing about, you need to use protection, you need to protect yourself. They went straight into you need to get married and not be in sin, which is that makes sense, not to be in sin, but while you're not in sin, you need to protect yourself too. So I think the church is the number one place that need it, because that's the place where people go when they are not feeling good for whatever reason. They go to church. They go with their cousin, their auntie, their grandmama. They go. I ain't talking about members. I'm talking about people that go to church. They need to go and see that in the church, and it's not there. Second thing was about the comments and the people with the being ignorant and all of that and how to respond to that. I am still working on that, because I will respond to every comment. I would respond to everything, because I be thinking like this is a teaching moment. Like the young lady that said, how is that a flex about me saying God is the foundation of my marriage? I went and I said, but God is what I said. And she came back and was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I hope I didn't upset you with my thoughts. I'm just trying to figure this out. So I said, oh, thank you. Thank you for responding back. I appreciate that. But I am what's called undetectable, and my husband is on prep, so I can't give it to him. And I broke it all the way down, and she said thank you. I felt good about it because the day before I was so upset at her comment, but and this is something I have to work on. I be feeling like it's my duty, it's my obligation to try to educate, even when they don't want it, even when they had a worse thing to say about me. And I do that, and I got to work on that, because everything, you don't have to respond back to everything. So that was to answer that question. And now fast forward, as you said, fast forward. He said fast forward. So 21 years, I have not experienced stigma, right? All the myths and all the stuff that had been going on, I truly feel like God protected me from that, because he felt I was not strong enough for that. And I probably would have broke. So it's like I have been, you know how when you be praying, like, cover me with the blood of Jesus. I feel like God has covered me, and I wasn't able to see it. I wasn't able to experience it. And now that it's here in front of me, it's like the best thing that I can do is continue to educate. And like the other day, I wanted to stop. I wanted to be done because it was too much and it made me feel sad, and I wanted to stop. But the best thing I can do for the community, the world, is to continue and to go harder with the advocacy that I do. Because if I stop right now, it'll make the situation worse. So I just feel like, I know it's little old me. I'm only one person. It ain't like I can educate the whole entire United States. But I feel like as long as I got breath in my body, I have to try to help in some type of way.
yeah, I agree with you. As you're speaking, I'm thinking back to at my church. It's a large church here in Metro Atlanta, and I remember I had this. As a nurse, I had a patient, and I looked at her and I said, "Your face looks familiar." And I'm trying to remember, what did I know this child from? But long story short, she was a member of my church. And it opened my eyes because I realized at that time a lot of young girls, I'm talking about 14, 15, 16, were pregnant at church. I would see them walk past me. And then I spoke to my son at that time. He was 14 as well. And then he talked about the sex that was going on at church and at different places. So it really opened my eyes to, like, okay, we need to be having real conversations, because they have their hormones, they're going to want to do it. And let me talk to you about doing it. I'm not going to encourage you to do it, but I'm going to tell you how you can be safe and protect yourself. So, those are some of the things that we don't talk about and that we need to talk about, and some of the places where we need to have that conversation. But I want to ask you this question now, and for you first, and then for your husband to share his perspective as well. I had a provider reach out to me because she saw me share information on PrEP. And she was like, I'm a nurse practitioner. And I had one of the women in my group reached out to me because she wanted more information on PrEP. But her provider, also a mid-level provider, wasn't able to speak or teach or share information on PrEP. So it's concerning to me that there's so many providers out there, mid-level and physicians, who don't know about PrEP. So let's talk about PrEP and the importance of PrEP for Black women.
Me first.
Yeah, you go
um,
first.
so so when the year starts, 2026, I plan on doing a lot of events surrounding PrEP for women. And the reason why is because us as women, we allow our husbands to cheat, have babies on us, and we stay with them. We'll allow our boyfriends to do the same thing. We mess around with a man that got a wife, got a girlfriend, and got all this stuff going on, and we have unprotected sex with them. And we talk about it with our friend, we talk about it with our cousin, we talk about it with our coworker, and these things are normal. But ain't nobody talking about prevention. I haven't, well, in today's time I hear it, but in my before I was public about my HIV status, and I was hearing women talk. That's all they talked about. Nobody talked about protecting themselves. Nobody even talked about condoms. So it's important for women to understand that first thing you got to do. Let's forget about PrEP for 1 second. We have to teach women how to love themselves. We have to teach them who God is, right? Not the God that bless you with something, not the God that gets you a job, not the God that gets you a car. I'm not talking about that type of God, not in that aspect. I'm talking about the God that love you. I'm talking about that God. We need to teach people about who God is. He loves us so much. He sent his son to die for us, right? It's so many aspects of God and his love that women need to understand, because once you understand that type of love, these men ain't gonna be able to talk to you. They ain't, because that's what happened to me. So if we can teach love and we can teach self-care and self-development and becoming a woman, and the principles is around God's principles and God's order, I think we can get them to take PrEP. We ain't gonna get them to take PrEP just saying, let's have a PrEP event. Let's talk about HIV awareness. They're not gonna come because they already know my husband probably didn't come home last night. Or I'm sleeping with this man that got a wife. So I'm not gonna go to that event because it's gonna convict me. But if you get to talking about some business, some fitness, some self-development, some dream boards, something that sound good, and throw some food up in there, we can get them to come and teach them about PrEP. Until you do that, they're coming.
You got it. And I think Clarissa and I had a conversation. By the way, this is Clarissa, Dr. Clarissa Francis. And she can share who she is later at the end. But we had a conversation about that as well. One of the things that we learned, you have to over the years, you have to kind of like bait and click, switch it up, make them feel like coming for something, and then when they get there, you bring in the real meat and truth. And I think when you talk about something, and it's so important that we include the mental portion of it. We include emotional. We include the trauma that we've been through as a people and that we've been through individually. That helps us decide what we're going to do and what we're not going to do. And then we don't want to beat them up with the risk. We want to talk about, hey, reason why you should love yourself. Reason why you should practice self-care. But then we also got to deal with why they do what they do, and how we can change the narrative and the perspective in their head as well.
Also, too, so you see how I just was saying, like women And this is just in my community. Everybody's community is different. I'm just speaking for mine, you know, like how women is sleeping with a man that sleep with a bunch of people. It's men out here. We know it's a lot of women that got HIV, right? It's more women than it is than men. It's just that men are not going to get tested and get on treatment, so it's easier for them to continue to give it to women, right? It's the same thing with heterosexual men. We need to normalize PrEP for men too. Like Curtis is a heterosexual man that's on PrEP. Like I was thinking too about us doing seminars for men that cheat all the time. You're gonna do it anyway. You might as well prevent yourself from getting anything, you know, and he'll be good to speak on that because of his past life that he once had before and things he's been delivered from, you know? I'm just saying.
So basically, you're saying we got to think outside the box. We got
You
to come up
better.
with innovative ways and ideas to actually get the people in or meet the people where they are and then share that information. Definitely, definitely. Um, what would you say to someone newly diagnosed who may be feeling fear or shame? And that's a big thing for me because where I worked, I had to deal with a lot of young black women who were positive, who we tested and tested positive. What would
Um,
you say to them, so the newly diagnosed black woman?
so I talked to this young lady, I think it was Thursday. I think she's been diagnosed maybe 90 days or less than 90 days. And I listened to her talk and I had to cut off for a second. Cut off. And the reason why I cut her off from talking was I remember them days feeling all these different emotions, right? But I realized that she was more worried about everybody else. And stigma and fear is not for you. It don't have nothing to do with you. It's what's on the outside. It's what they gonna think, what they gonna feel, how they gonna treat me. It's not our fear I'm gonna die because you already know you take that medicine, you come undetectable, you take care of yourself, you come to the doctor every 3 months, they give you the rundown. So you already have committed to do that. So you know HIV is not gonna make you sick, it's not gonna kill you. So you okay, you know you're gonna live. Now you're worried about all these things that people gonna say if they find out how they're gonna feel. And I said, I think the best thing you could do for yourself right now is educate yourself. And she was like, huh? I said, don't worry about what your mama gonna think. Don't worry about what this person gonna think and how they feel and what they ain't doing. I said, the best thing you can do is accept your new normal and learn how to live again. Because the moment they told you HIV, you was HIV positive, you no longer think the way you used to think. You no longer can live the same way. You no longer can do anything the same way. You become a brand new person. Now you have to fall in love with yourself all over again. Don't worry about telling nobody right now. Don't worry about who ain't supporting you. Don't worry about none of that. Just focus on getting to know your new self. That's the best advice I could give somebody because HIV is not a physical thing to me. It is a mental thing. And if you newly diagnosed and you can beat the mental straightforward within your first 90 to a year, that will prevent a lot of sadness. I went through sadness for over 11, 12, 13 years. It's sad. Thinking about this, thinking about that, want to trying to kill myself, going through all these mental issues. But if somebody just would have told me to just focus on me and me taking my medicine, me educating myself, me learning, me doing self-development, all of these different things, it would have been so much easier for me to navigate HIV, but it took me a long time.
Thank you. Thank you for the words that you. So, Pastor and First Lady, what do you hope your testimony inspires in couples, in faith communities, and in the world, in the broader community where you live? What do you hope your testimony inspires?
Um, I would say, like any great revolution throughout history, when it comes to example, the civil rights revolution, change, right? Different mindset, equality, all these different things. I just want people to see us and just see love Um, I do desire people to ponder. Normally, when we ponder, it makes our mind go and it makes us think. So it makes us want to ask questions. So I want to trigger some thoughts. Um, go back to the ignorance. I don't mind it when it comes to who people are, because people are people. I just mind it if you continue. You know what I mean? But I don't mind it, and it give me a chance to say something to not go back and forth with you, but to, like she said earlier, to educate you. Um, that's really my goal. I believe our goal is to educate and start a revolution of this, what God love is, in a broader aspect. You know, because we put God in a box. I said earlier, can't nobody put him in a box. So many of us want to put God in a box, like God can only love this certain individual. Now, God
Mhm.
loves all of us. You know what I mean? And because of that, now I can see love in a greater light. I can see love, LOVE, but not see HIV with it. I just see God and a God in her.
That was so cute how you turned around and looked towards me. That was just so cute. That's so cute. I think for me it's the same thing. I with the educate, that's my one of my brands, one of my slogans. I say, let's get educated. I see it a lot. I will hope that it will give people a sense of urgency to get educated, especially those that are not positive, but people that's positive. I will want them to look at our story and say, if it happened for her, it can happen for me, right? Or it may be a man that really want to date a woman that he just like really, really like her really bad, like, dang, she positive. Was look at Curtis like, you know what? If that man loves that woman, I could do the same thing. I want people to see God. I want them to see God through our story and our testimony. That's the biggest thing for me. It's God and education.
Thank you. And I can hear the power in your voice, the power I can see and relate to the power in your stories. From the time you said you were diagnosed and you went through that long period of grief and not really having, and I'm not sure, I don't want to speak for you, but having someone or some organization that guides you through the process. Because one of the things that I've seen is that there are a lot of groups for women who are HIV positive, but not so much for those who are newly diagnosed and new to HIV. Um, and I hope that will be something that we can look at and hopefully in the future look at actually helping women through the transitional period of grief, put them on the right path. And the reason why I say that because I worked in a community where it was both rural and suburban, and there wasn't to actually be in the same spot, everybody be in the same spot at the same time wasn't feasible. So actually having platforms where we can focus on the young women newly diagnosed, because I know so many young women who have been newly diagnosed but are not in care. So
Um, I'm I'm sorry. Go ahead.
so actually changing, helping to change that narrative to me is really important. So now just speaking to my local community and what I see, and what I've encountered as a medical practitioner. Do you want to add anything that
I
you want
do.
to add?
So I was thinking about so I've been on TikTok a lot lately. A whole lot. I like TikTok. That's my favorite right now. And so many people message me that is newly diagnosed. And I be going back and forth with them, back and forth, like texting back and forth. And if it get too bad, I'll say, call me, call me. And neither one of them is three that I've been talking to lately. Neither one of them are in support groups. And I believe it's not because it's no support groups, because it's some. But I think it's more like that them feeling ashamed and them not wanting to want to go around other people right now because they have not accepted where they at. So it's like if I go to this support group, I gotta, I'm sorry, y'all, I cough all the time. I have to, if I go to the support group, I have to go to the doctor, I have to go to this place, and everybody's gonna know that I'm HIV positive, so they choose not to go. And the reason why I'm saying this because this was myself too. I didn't want to be associated with nothing HIV related until about 6 years ago when life started lifing for me. I didn't want that, so I stayed away from it. But it was there, but I did not tap into it because of my own reasons. But also, I was thinking about like when people are diagnosed, they tell you take your medicine, become undetectable. They just stuff all the stuff down your throat about HIV, and they forget life stopped the moment you said I was HIV positive. I don't know what you're talking about. And they just keep going and going and going, and people leave with all this information, but they don't know if they're going to be okay, mentally. I feel like they should have some type of resources in clinics, doctor's office, that when somebody is diagnosed, it's somebody that come in a room and sit and talk to them, like, and have a real conversation, not an educational conversation about this medication and the side effects and all this. This is what life is going to look like for you. This is what you got to do. We need to figure out how to get these type of resources for people, or even if it was a hotline that people can call that's newly diagnosed, so where they can talk to somebody and tell them how they feel, and this person can type on a computer and find resources for them, because people is really suffering. People is suffering in silence, and it's just not all about going somewhere to get help. People need help at home. They need help where they at because they're not ready to go. They're not ready to go out and get the help. So we need to get help for them at home.
It takes innovative people like you who has been through the system to help create that platform. And the reason why I'm saying this, I am the one often has to tell someone that they're HIV positive. But you don't have the time. For me, I made it mandatory that everyone that becomes contestant that's HIV positive came in for their first visit, I want to talk to them. Because they have to go through that grieving process. First, they got to accept it. It takes them a minute to accept that diagnosis. Because, like I refuse, even with the grieving process, you deny it. You refuse to even accept it.
Mm-hmm.
But oftentimes the caregiver, when I'm talking about the medical caregiver, the clinics don't have that time. They don't have the set personnel. And I felt like one of the things that we could add to the clinic is actually like what you said, having their group to contact that person, someone who's been there. Because they call them the peer navigators. But the peer navigators don't often look like me, don't often look like you. So it's having someone specific for that group that can work with them, that understands what they're going through.
Yeah, I think that would be really beneficial.
So there will be something that we can all talk about. Do you have anything to add, Dr. Francis?
Hey, did not really been I appreciate this conversation. I just was taking my notes, my takeaways of the different points of what's been brought up. I really love of including the conversation around PrEP and HIV, AIDS within other platforms or other conversations. Like you mentioned, self-care, self-development. Um, you mentioned like fitness or, as a part of, because it's often treated separately. And, coming along with that stigma, um, like you're right about those of interest. Like I've done most of my work with college students, and offering HIV testing and having these workshops, and there's already a certain idea or expectation because of the type of programming and when included in other areas such as like self-care or when we talk about empowerment or the whole self. um I think that can strengthen, and even increase the impact. I love y'all perspective of speaking from the relationship. That really could be discussed more when you talk about having real conversations about what's really going on as it relates to having multiple partners outside of the relationship. I think there's basic level conversations that we um are not having, like the having those multiple relationships outside of your relationship. Um, and testing, because also like doing testing in the community, and someone will be a married woman or someone in a relationship and asking, the questions that come along with testing and saying, oh, they better not, or this better come up, negative because, that in the reality, that it is possible, and something that the way that Carla and I met was doing work with HIV/AIDS awareness, working with an initiative, and something that I had an issue with talking about HIV/AIDS and STIs is only focusing on uh, the statistics and just prevention in a way where it's just repeating of what's already expected. But when you actually have conversations about the whole person, about healing, even including conversations about pleasure, of shifting the way we even talk about sex, or um, in relationships, like talking about healthy relationships or communication, is, talking about the reality that sometimes even bringing up the use of a condom is not always safe for people to do that. So like having those real conversations, and I also appreciate bringing in a religion, because having the lack of those conversations continuously, even today, with the information that we have, like I really appreciate you all including that in the work that you do and in your testimony and your story. And it's something that I think should be, hopefully is encouraging others to do the same, like in relationships, in the church. Um, Men and women, Black men and women having more of these conversations. And this is really important. So I really appreciate your perspective in this conversation.
Well, thank you for your feedback, Dr. Clarissa. Pastor Nugent and First Lady, I just want to say thank you guys. Stories like your story reminds us all about that HIV doesn't define a person or relationship, like you said earlier. And I thank you for your courage, for your truth, for your compassion. I'm grateful that it's stronger than fear and stigma. And I thank you for sharing your journey. Thank you for coming and sitting with us, um, and just speaking on HIV and the stigma and what you're doing currently and what you're about to do. I know that you guys, this is just the beginning of the journey, and I cannot wait to see what is going to happen in 2026 and how your ministry is going to expand and how God is going to use you guys to do what He purposed you for in this season. So thank y'all. Any last words? Anything you want to say? Let's tell us the name of your ministry, where you guys are located, and what you have coming up for World AIDS Day, and what you have coming up, Pastor Curtis.
Yes, very proud to say I am one of the co-founders of Love You for Life Ministries. We're based out here, Hammond, Indiana. As you can see, Love You for Life show. Um, I'm grateful now we have a covering. Marriage is so important, right? I couldn't talk about this 3 months, less than 3 months ago, because I was out of order. You know what I mean? Even though I had an end game, I had a goal as far as marriage. Certain things I just won't subject myself to if I'm not in order with God. So I'm grateful that this ministry can elevate now since I am married. I can freely talk about these things. Other thing is, and what we got planned for the future, we just gonna let God do what God do. We got a giveaway next month, December 20th. Um, obviously, Unique Presents got her event December 6th, and you Love You for Life obviously gonna show up with their show out, do what we do. But I just want to talk about prep really quick. It makes me think about, I don't know if y'all remember Eddie Murphy Raw, the comedy show. I remember back in the late 80s, he said this was a freak fest. This is the late 80s, right? Now look at 2025. We ain't even got genders no more. You know what I mean? It's to a place where it's a free fall. I say that to paint a picture. It behooves everybody to inquire about prep because you don't know what you are encountering day in and day out. The primary reason because it's a freak fest. It's no morals there. It's no boundaries. It's no standards. It's a lot of nothing. Everybody do it freely, and it's just the reality for the most part. I ain't saying us on here, but for the most part, overall. So this is why I push prep the way I push it because that's self care. That's self accountability. That's knowing your worth and not knowing if a person's going to reveal it, lie about it, deceive you, manipulate you, whatever. This young lady will tell all the time. She takes accountability. I slept with somebody unprotected. It goes for all of us. We sleep with people unprotected. Why? Because we choose to do it for whatever reason. So let's take accountability. Let's protect ourselves. That way, that's one less thing we got to worry about. Still, guess what? Still other STIs out there. Another topic as well.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about prep because I am passionate about it. And I do believe that if you out there, you might want to check it out because it can very well save your life because I'm gonna talk about her again real quick. She know what's going on with her life. So now she's doing something about it. So many people got HIV, AIDS walking around here, they don't know. And their cells is breaking down because of the root. Because they're not medicate themselves things they need to do, and then they're spreading it. We can really do ourselves a favor and do some self-care pertaining to it.
Yeah, and you're right. I like the fact that you said reasons. You didn't say risk. You didn't use the word reasons, but you that was the point that I got from it. And when you talk about Truvada, the medication, how often you take it, and just how does it act? How does it help you from not becoming HIV positive? You want to speak on that just a little bit?
Yeah, well, I started with the pill. I
Mhm.
graduated to the shot. I'm gonna say
You
graduate.
taking a shot? Okay.
Take the shot. I'm a veteran. It's different strokes, different folks, different positions, but I had to prove that I was serious about it. That's how they made me do it. So I had to go through like probably half a year being on them pills. Um, they give me a little headache. The pills did. A little hard to swallow because they're big pills. But it gives you a peace of mind. But I graduated to the shot. I take the shot. The pill you got to take every day. The shot every other month.
Right.
The cool part about it too is I don't know about all physicians. As far as the VA, I have to take a HIV test every 2 months. You know
It's a
what I mean?
standard.
So
That's
it's
the
like
standard.
okay. So it's like I know where I'm at, and it's a beautiful feeling. Outside of my love for my wife, I know where I'm at with my health. That's the greatest piece of mind ever. You know what I mean? Because I'm serious about my health. I'm 47 years old. I'm getting older. I ain't just worried about STI. I'm worried about a herniated disc, a sciatica. I'm worried about all type of stuff. So I got to be on top of it to give me a peace of mind.
Yeah. Well, thank you for bringing us back to the prep and Truvada and how it works with the pills. Some people take
Oh,
pills
I'm
once
sorry,
a day.
real quick. Only
Go
thing
ahead.
I said the side effects with the pill. Only thing I ever did, they don't do your butt, they do like by your side, between your side and your buttocks.
Yeah,
It might be so like for a half of a day or maybe a day. Other than that, you're super straight.
yeah. I had some people say they prefer the pills. Some people say they prefer the shot. People who don't like taking pills every day, the shot is probably a better
Yes,
option
I don't
for
like
you. Yeah. So you'll remember to take it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't like it. So like pills at all. It's just a shot. You know, it ain't for me to remember. You're gonna remember what you want to remember, right? You know, you're gonna whatever it is, you're gonna put your 100% into it. It's just for me, it ain't even a convenience. It's just knowing that it's done. You know what I mean? I ain't gotta worry about nothing. I ain't gotta swallow no pills every day. Some people cool with pills. Once again, each his own. But for me, it's just more of a convenience, so to speak, to go that route.
And it prevents the disease from spreading. It
Absolutely.
prevents the virus from spreading.
Yeah, and that's like 99.99%. It's like it's a really high rate, and it's all about peace of mind. Once again, it's a free fest out here, y'all. You know what I
Right.
mean? So you really gotta be conscious and protect yourself. And it's worth your life mentally, because you're gonna survive if you get HIV if you take care of yourself. But mentally, that's what we're talking about. The really the root to a lot. It's gonna protect your mental, and that's priceless.
Yeah, it is priceless. There's so many things that come with HIV and also with AIDS. And I tell people, even if you're both positive, you still need to take your medication, because what looks like HIV, the type of HIV I have today, is not going to be the same one tomorrow. Or what Shativa may have, and let's say somebody else have, is not the same one. So there's so many things, like you said, lack of education. So having conversations like this, when people share their journey, the more people we reach, the greater more information will be spread. All right, First Lady, what's your last words?
um, I actually don't have any. I can't think of any last words, but I'm gonna give some anyway, even though ain't none coming to mind. I'm just gonna make it up.
Let me use you.
I'm gonna make it up as I go. I'm sticking to the same thing. Is love. Love is God, and when you know who God is, it opens up the door for all type of possibilities. And you forget about HIV. You'll forget about sin. You forget about so many things when you learn the power of God. And I just pray that everybody learn the God that I know and the God that I'm learning, because I learn him every day. I learn him every day, because every day I'm experiencing something different every day. So he's showing me a different part of him every day. I want that for everybody. And the last thing is, once again, Real AIDS Day is my favorite day of all of the events that you can have for awareness throughout the year. 6 years ago, on which will be today, Real AIDS Day, I went public with my HIV status on Facebook, and I started the lab off saying, "What do Real AIDS Day mean to you? What do Real AIDS Day mean to you?" And I was so scared, and I kept saying it. I probably said it 20 times. I just kept saying it, and then I said I was positive. And 2 years later, I asked my kids what Real AIDS Day meant to them, and we all got together and we wrote poems off of what do Real AIDS Day mean. So I'm going to be asking everybody on Real AIDS Day to do a video and saying what Real AIDS Day mean to them, and to tag me in it. Not my name, my brand. Let's get educated. Real AIDS Day means so much to so many people, because some people now, they had loved ones that have passed away 20 years ago, 5 years ago. They may have somebody now that's positive, that's it's not openly positive, and they ain't supported them. It's people that's living with HIV, that lost people, that's grieving people that they lost and going through different things. So Real AIDS Day mean a lot to so many people. So I am asking that people that know me, know my husband, and know us, to do a video and start it off by saying what Real AIDS Day mean to me is, and tag Let's Get Educated in it.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for spending time with us beyond the diagnosis, conversations about HIV. I thank Dr. Clarissa for participating. We had Pastor Curtis Nugent and First Lady Shatrivia Nugent, right? Did I get the last name correct?
Perfect.
Yes, you did.
All right.
What is it?
Thanks for having us. Clock it.
Yeah, actually, with the name.
That's your thing.